Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and this know-nothing Democrat has realized he's made a huge mistake because Will Kane delivers the best answer I've heard yet about the leaked Signal group chat controversy. Let's dive in.
The accountability that you require, and I think you asked for today, right, is that you think Secretary Hegseth should resign or be fired?
Yeah, that is what I called for. It would be better if he resigned, because that would be an acknowledgement by him that, hey, he made a mistake, right?
Okay,
people make mistakes, but you have to own that.
Congressman, in those tours in Afghanistan, which, by the way, thank you for your service, if you had left your rifle somewhere on the field and lost your rifle, would you have been court-martialed? Would you have been relieved of your job?
Well, court-martial wouldn't have actually been the proper remedy, but usually there's
you would have been held accountable.
Yeah, accountability. There's usually what's called an Article 15 proceeding. So you lose a weapon, you don't follow an order. There has to be accountability. That is the cornerstone of competency in the military.
And Congressman, what I'm trying to figure out today is whether or not you guys as Democratic congressmen are genuinely interested in the national security of the United States, or whether or not you're trying to score hyperbolic partisan points. So I'm sure we're going to find out you're principled on this, on these calls across the action. So when we had our disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, wherein 13 Marines were killed, did you call for the resignation of Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin?
Well, listen here. This, but what if or whatever situation.
No,
this is
no,
always
no.
what you do.
I'm trying to figure out if you're principled and you've applied this on every occasion.
These are apples and oranges situations. These are apples and oranges situations, right? Lloyd Austin never once in his entire career sent classified, top secret information about military plans and a mission over
so you didn't.
extremely dangerous territory in the way that Pete Hegseth did. Right?
Just to continue the curiosity, did you call for the resignation,
general.
Congressman, did you call for the resignation of anybody from the military for that withdrawal from Afghanistan wherein 13 Marines were killed? If not Austin, anyone? Did you call for anyone's firing?
Will, listen to me. These are apples and oranges situations, right? You're not a veteran, right?
No, I'm not.
No, let me explain something. Retrograde operations, withdrawal operations are some of the hardest operations anybody can conduct, right? Now, I've been very vocal. I was very vocal against the Biden administration. I didn't pull my punches there, right? And actually what I did is I led a bipartisan effort to create an Afghanistan War Commission to actually investigate it. And then I was actually appointed the ranking member, the Democrat, of the Oversight and Accountability Subcommittee to conduct an investigation. And we did that. And there was a complete and comprehensive report of the lessons learned. Right. And I'm actually sponsoring legislation to fix those issues.
I have some of your words right here.
We're taking action to fix it.
Congressman, in fact, I do have some of your words right here. So this is what you told CPR News, which is a Colorado news agency. Back in 2023, you said, I do think the withdrawal from Afghanistan was messy. It was chaotic. There were a lot of mistakes that were made, and I haven't pulled punches on that. And then you go on to say in that same interview, but there are lessons learned, and I take a holistic look and not look at it through a small frame. So you admit that it was a mistake. You know that it was connected. I agree, by the way, it is apples and oranges, because in this situation, 13 Marines actually died. So I agree, they're not apples to apples comparisons. But on this particular mistake, you didn't demand anyone's resignation. And so I don't find it principled that now you do when nothing happened other than a successful military operation was executed. It seems to me, Congressman, that what you're doing is playing politics, not principles.
Yo, like I said, perhaps the best response I've heard about this whole Signal group chat leak controversy, okay? So, either this is some 4D chess move by Pete Hegseth. I don't, at this point, something doesn't smell right about this whole thing. Again, it was leaked to an Atlantic editor, okay? The magazine. They're not exactly a cutting-edge news organization. The whole thing doesn't smell right. But calling for a resignation? Oh, you poor kid, Jason. And that's Jason Crow. He's a Democrat from Denver. One of the representatives around there. And apparently he's been a veteran, so he actually understands some of the dysfunction of the military. He can attest to that personally. It happens. There's dysfunction all across the military. If it was its own corporation, it'd be the biggest corporation in the world. Okay, there's going to be messes here and there. But that's why we need an administration that's willing to say, hey, there's some problems here in X, Y, and Z. Let's try fixing them. And if you accidentally cause a smaller problem here, you put out the fire and you move on. And this is the Democrats have been harping on this for so long. I'm sorry, the average American doesn't care about this. The average American might just laugh at that and move on because let's be honest, we've become so numb to these types of airstrikes that Pete Hegseth and JD Vance were talking about in this group chat that this isn't something that gets us engaged anymore. If anything, this is some tabloid-style journalism where you get to say that, oh, guess who we caught messing around with someone else. And this is ultimately sort of the gossip that you see in tabloids. This is something that you joke about in the locker room. This is something you talk about at the water cooler, and then you move on. You laugh about it, you move on, and then you see who's where the starting pitcher is going to play for opening day for baseball. That's what you do here. And instead, Jason Crow is trying to harp on some points and even call for resignations. I'm sorry, resignations? I would ask for a resignation if a group chat was leaked where Pete Hegseth was talking with the head of the CIA, and basically it got leaked that we were wanting to take out the Prime Minister of Denmark. That would be an international story that would carry way more weight than what's going on here, right? That's something that I would care about, a resignation. Or perhaps you, I don't know, botched a major withdrawal from a nation that has, by the way, is landlocked. It has to be entirely taken out from the air. And instead, we left billions upon billions of dollars of hardware and weapons on the ground. We got multiple individuals who are no longer on this mortal plane, all because of a bad withdrawal policy. And I don't remember anyone calling for Lloyd Austin to resign, even though, let's be honest, whoever was in charge of that whole debacle should have been canned immediately, and Joe Biden should have apologized to the American people. But from that moment on, the American people knew that Joe Biden wasn't any fret change, wasn't a breath of fresh air. The dude was a doddering old man who could barely lick an ice cream cone at that point. And he remained in that state until it was so obvious to the American people that they had to get cackling Kamala to run in his place. You have to laugh at that because it's just so bizarre. And so when you're talking about resignations, you'd think that you would have the integrity and the principles to say, well, if I ask for it here, then it needs to be applied here. And this Democrat is trying to jump through some hoops, say, oh, you're comparing apples and oranges, which, by the way, yes, you can compare apples and oranges. It's not hard. They're not very similar, but so what? Just because World War I and World War II weren't the same conflicts, you can compare those for reference, now can't you? Ugh. But ultimately, this Democrat doesn't really know what he's talking about, and Will Kane gives a much better response, and this is ultimately what the issue boils down to. The difference between your position and mine is that nobody on my side, Will Kane here, of the aisle is pretending perfection. I'm not. I'm certainly not pretending perfection, said Kane during the debate. This administration has admitted it made a mistake. It's okay to admit that you've screwed up. That's called taking accountability. That's what a good administration is supposed to do. And so far, there's a handful of people that say, yeah, we kind of screwed up here. But this is a big nothing burger, okay? Call me back when there's some leaked group chat of this potential plot to take out a prime minister. Call me back when there's a plot to overthrow a certain nation. That's when the scandal should really come out. That's when the knives should come out. That's when you ask for resignations, not before. So Democrats have been grasping at straws, hoping that this issue is going to take root and ultimately drum up support for them from the base. But like I said before, most Americans do not care about this issue. The ones that do kind of laugh it off and move off to much more important things because at the end of the day, because some missile strikes were planned and then leaked to an editor at The Atlantic who is not known for passing on information, who, by the way, didn't pass on the information that day, he held on to it out of his own journalistic integrity, and then said that there was an issue because this took place back on March 15th, if I'm not mistaken. So that's been nearly 2 weeks now, and we're only learning about this leak about a week ago? Again, something doesn't smell right. The average person doesn't care. And to call for a resignation when the entire Democrat Party was silent, when we left billions of dollars of equipment, and ultimately when our security got so bad because of the mismanagement that 13 service members lost their lives? I'm sorry, the average person doesn't care about it. People in their right minds don't care about it. And the ones that are screaming the most, well, I think the lady doth protest too much. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Until then, y'all have a good one.